Hi, everybody. This is Reza.
This is Sandy.
Welcome back to episode 45 of the Stone Cold Sober podcast.
Yeah, it's 5 away from 50. We got to figure out what we want to do for 50.
Yeah, I just realized that we missed our 1 year anniversary. We talked about it a bit ago, but I completely forgot about that.
Well, happy anniversary.
Yeah, happy delayed anniversary on the Stone Cold Sober podcast.
God, if we were an actual couple, one of us would be really angry with the other person right now.
Yeah,
this is the perfect thing. Oh, it was our anniversary? Oh, chill.
That happens.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
man.
September 21st was the first episode. So
really?
About a month ago.
Wow, we let going strong, though.
Yeah.
I like that we started this out as something that was sort of a pet project. Because we talked about doing a podcast for a couple months.
Yeah.
Every time we played video games, and it's just nice that we stuck with it. I think that's so far the best thing to take away from all this. That we stuck. I mean, because it's so easy nowadays to just either forget about things if it doesn't go exactly your way, or just forget about it because life gets busy. I think it's nice that we've been able to carve out time every week and do this.
Yeah, although there are definitely improvements that we could make. Like, we still haven't put anything up yet on iTunes, and that's, we could do it, and there's a bit of work that's involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just been fun. Like, the whole process, especially for me, like the editing process. And while I don't have to do anything significant most of the time, sometimes there's, I have to kind of dive in and correct some audio issues or whatever things that we have, and that's the enjoyable part for me.
Yeah, we should definitely look to get some of that stuff onto iTunes at some point.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I have been watching, or at least keeping up with the NFL football today, and let me tell you, my Colts are not looking so strong this year. As much as it pains me to say it, like I keep seeing people on Reddit talk about how bad the Colts are. They just keep shitting on them left and right, and the Colts just aren't that great of a team, and it is a bit disappointing that such a bad team, or for what I've seen over the first 7 games, like, they have not played consistent at all. And the only teams we're 3-4, and those 3 wins are against our division rivals.
Which is important,
right.
Mind you.
Right.
Let's be sure.
Non-football fans, you should know that the best team, the team within each division, there are 8 divisions, and within each of those 8 divisions, there will be one winner of a division. So the team with the best record in the division will go to the playoffs, no matter what. So if we go 8-8, but we're the best team in our division, we go to the playoffs, even if there's some other team in another division that goes 10-6 and doesn't go to the playoffs because the first place team was 11-5. So it's a bit of an interesting system where it really hurts to be in a strong division, and it really helps teams be like when you're in a really poor division, because you don't have to play perfect every single week, and that's what that's the situation the Colts are in right now. They're still in first place, but they're 3-4 and have not looked good in any of their non-division games.
Okay. I was watching your guys' game today.
Yeah.
And it was not pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are playing the Saints.
Oh yeah, we're playing the Saints. One of the worst. I mean, there are a lot of bad teams in the NFL this year.
It seems like a handful of teams have just stolen wins from every other team.
Yeah.
Perennially strong teams are just shitting the bed.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints were a really strong team just 3 years ago? They won the Super Bowl. They beat us, the Colts, in the Super Bowl in 2010.
I remember that. 2010. Yeah.
So that was 5 years, 5 seasons ago. And all of a sudden, they're one of the worst teams. The Colts are still, technically a strong team because they're still topping their division. But, I mean, their level of play is they're definitely a tier 2 below the top tier teams, like the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah. It's not even close right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the consistency.
Yeah.
That they bring week in and week out. And sure, do they have some games where it's a little bit tougher? Yeah, but it's the consistency that they bring on both, in all 3 phases of the game, that you wish your team had.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrew Luck looked so confused for so long in that game.
Yeah, I saw the first. So I was at the gym during this game, and I saw the first like half of the first quarter, maybe most of the first quarter actually, and then I was keeping up with the game into the third half when I finally got home, or it's the third half, the second half into the third quarter. When I got home, I put the game on. I was able to catch like the second half of the third quarter before they cut it off the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's the thing. I think that's the big thing. I keep watching like teams like the Patriots play, and they are just a very consistent team. Whereas the Colts, very similar to the Chargers in certain areas. In matter of fact, they just seem to love to shoot themselves in the foot at the very beginning of the game. They dig themselves into a ridiculously large hole the first quarter, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are
Yeah.
we down 20-0 and we haven't even finished the first quarter yet? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. At that point, you guys were down 20-0. Andrew Luck was 0 for 5. He
Yeah,
held the ball for 3 minutes. Meanwhile, the Saints have had the ball for 13 minutes and 55 seconds. You threw a pick six. On the ensuing kickoff, you fumble the ball.
yeah.
It reminded me of the Bills and Jags game this morning. I woke up for that game because
Oh, really?
it was streaming on Yahoo,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was actually really cool to watch that game on Yahoo. The quality was perfect. It dipped a few times, but EJ Manuel came out, and it was the most absurd thing I've ever seen. In the course of 2 minutes, they were down 20 points.
Okay.
Similar to what happened to you guys, but EJ Manuel threw. He got sacked for a fumble return touchdown. Immediate next play, he throws an interception return touchdown. But then they come storming back.
Wow.
They came storming back, and then somehow they tied it. They took the lead late in the fourth, and then Blake Bortles comes back. It was a shootout of epic proportions. There was so much. It was like what was the score in that game? The score
34 to
was
31.
it was one of those games.
Yeah.
Everyone's scoring. The defense has gone home. They're like, oh, we did our work. We did it all in the first quarter, and I mean, it's great for NFL in London because
Yeah.
it's not like a 7-3 game where everyone's like, I should have just stayed home. Because it's like rugby international championships this weekend.
Right.
But that reminded me of your team. It was just like Andrew Luck is a top, I'd argue like a tier 2 quarterback in this league, right? Like tier 1, you got to have Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
Which is crazy that I
Right.
said it this year, but
you
Andy
include
Dalton.
Andy Dalton in that.
But then tier 2, you got like Carson Palmer, and then you got Andrew Luck. But Andrew Luck, he's hurt.
Yeah, he is hurt. But he makes a lot of questionable decisions, man. Like, it's easy for me to say because this is the team that I watch, and I try to keep up with. But, like, for example, last week, right? I'm watching last week, and it's 3rd and 4, okay? 3rd and 4. We need 4 yards for the first down. And who do we see? Who do we have coming right across the middle? We have, I think it's Frank Gore, who comes out of the backfield and is literally wide open 4 yards downfield to get the first down. And what does Luck do? He throws a bomb out to Andre Johnson, I think it was, and it's an incomplete pass. I'm like, why? I don't understand why he tries to do so much all the time. He doesn't seem at times to want to take the safe play. And I just don't until it's too late. Like he'll really push a lot. He'll really push a lot of buttons. Get really close. And at times he gets picked off, and then he digs himself into a hole. And as soon as he's in that hole, then he doesn't want to make those do or die type of plays when you don't really have much of a choice anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a really weird and interesting season because there are right now 5 undefeated teams in the NFL. And this is week 6 now. As we recorded this, the Carolina Panthers, the 5th undefeated team, is getting ready to play their game against the Eagles. But this has never happened in NFL history that this many teams would be undefeated at this point of the season. And what that really means, though, is that there are a lot of other teams that are not only not just like bad, but also don't even have winning records. I guess they're kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But there are only a handful of teams in the NFL with winning records, but the majority of the teams have losing records.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's unreal. It's
Yeah.
unreal. And the officiating this year, I know it doesn't make sense to call out the officiating.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm trying to do. But they have been atrocious. And clock management. Whoever it's not. And when we say clock management, we don't mean the coaches or whatever. We're talking about the guy who actually operates the clock. Because when the clock should stop, it's still going.
Mm-hmm.
And that is unacceptable. Because you literally have one job. And it's to make sure the clock runs when it's supposed to run. And if you're not going to do it, well, then we're going to find somebody who does.
Yeah.
Like it happened in 3 other games today where the clock kept running. And it's like, is this one company that runs all the clock? That doesn't make any sense. And after it happened the first time, it was a bad enough deal. A second time, you're just gonna keep shitting the bed. Hey, at least your team's not trying to move out of town.
Yes, I did just hear about that. That the Chargers they're going to be filing to move to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Wow, really? You gotta say it like that?
I want to know. I mean, you're still going to support them, I assume, right?
I don't know.
Would it bother you? Why
it absolutely bothers me. It bothers me because I have no connection with LA.
Okay. The San Diego Chargers were your local team at some point. When you lived there.
Yes.
That does make sense. So how would you go about picking a new team, or do you think you would still be loyal? Like, do you think you would just be able to make the transition and they would still kind of be your team, but it's just not the same?
Well, your team used to be the Baltimore Colts.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen when you were alive.
Yeah, I wasn't around then.
I mean, what a time to be alive, right? I love how everyone's saying... That's total side note, I'm sorry. Everyone's saying it. Last night, when that college football team won on the block field goal attempts,
mm-hmm.
When they run, he runs to the end zone, he literally yells, "What a time to be alive!" I was like, are you an OVO? You OVO XO?
Yeah.
It would pain me a lot. I can't just go ahead and pick another team. I'm not going to sit here in front of you and say, oh, well, I've also lived a long time outside of Philadelphia. I'm going to be an Eagles fan now. No. Yeah. No, I won't. Nope. I have no connection with that franchise. Yeah. I don't care. Can I name all your players starting from 2000? Sure. It's like, I remember watching Donovan McNabb with Deuce Staley in the backfield. And then you got James Thrash, Todd Pinkston, Freddie Mitchell. I know your team.
I love how you know Todd Pinkston.
Oh, Todd Pinkston.
I mean, Todd Pinkston wasn't he wasn't a fantastic receiver or anything like that, but you and I both know Todd Pinkston.
Oh, absolutely. He was a deep threat who would get scared of the safety because that was a different game. That was a different game back then, though. You could block through a man, tackle his soul, and ring out any life force that still had him, and it'd be like, yeah, that was a football play right there.
Yeah.
But going back to the Charger thing, it's tough this year because our team we lost to the Raiders today. The Raiders have been getting progressively better every year. Derek Carr, Amari Cooper, they have a great Latavius Murray. They got a good offense coming up. But what's interesting is their team is also looking to move to LA along with the St. Louis Rams.
Yeah.
But they're not shitting the bed. They've had a really tough going for the past 10 years. They've been bottom shelf, 1-15, 2-14. But whenever they play an AFC West team, because it's a divisional opponent, it's going to be tough. The Chargers always seem to play down or up to their opponent. Yeah. Last week, shootout, maestro, in a loss, though, to Green Bay, but nobody thought that the spread was 10.5 points going into that game.
A lot of people lost a lot of money on that one.
Yeah. And this weekend, or this today, at one point, we were down 30-6. It's pitiful.
Right. Against the Raiders.
Now, granted, we have 3 out of 5 offensive linemen who are out. We have a non-existent run game. I get it. We're playing one-dimensional from kickoff. I get it. There's a reason why they're just playing zone coverage all the game because they don't have to respect the run. Yeah. We haven't had a 100-yard rushing game yet. And I don't think we will this season. So when a team is actively looking to relocate, your team is just not playing well. You've got a coaching staff that is calling uninspired plays. You've got basically only a handful of players that are playing their hearts out, and everyone else is either a step too slow or a second too late, and these lead to huge plays. Like
Right.
they threw this outlet pass to Amari Cooper at the 47, their own 47-yard line, and he ran through our entire field and scored a 53-yard touchdown. It just seemed like nobody knew where they were. We have trainers that don't seem to know how to protect our players because we are one of the most hurt teams in the league consistently.
Yeah, that's really interesting, that one.
I know we fired our old Asian team doctor who was an Asian guy, giving us all a bad name because he was a hack. He didn't know wasn't. I don't know if he was a real he wasn't a real doctor, or he just didn't know how to treat NFL players. But it was just a shit show how badly our team was doing with him as our medical team lead. So you couple these two things together, and it's going to be tough, right? As a fan, to say, is this a lost season? Are we moving? Like I've dealt with these rumors for 5 years, but it just seems like every year the rumors get a little bit warmer, and now the water's boiling, and it's just going to be tough. Like I'll ask you the same question: Indianapolis Colts. They moved to Minneapolis.
I would have no idea. I mean, I guess I would want to support them.
But are they the Minneapolis Colts to you or the Indianapolis Colts to you? It's kind of a weird thing, right? It's only based on geography.
Right.
Neither of us have lived there in over a decade and a half.
Right. Like there's
when did you move?
They're the same organization.
When did you move out of Indianapolis?
So, I moved out of Indianapolis in 2001.
So
The very end of 2001.
A decade and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, 14 years.
Yeah, close enough.
And I haven't lived in San Diego since '98. But they're my Chargers.
Yeah.
They're the first team I ever watched. I remember going to a local supermarket on Super Bowl Sunday. We were playing the Niners. We got beat, but neither here nor there. And I still had that T-shirt. It was some Super Bowl T-shirt. It was like a SoCal Super Bowl, Niners versus Chargers. I mean, we lost 42-10, but it was from that point on. I was like, these are my Chargers. And living in Philly or living outside Philly, it just wasn't the same. I could never really root for the Eagles. And so if you ask me if they become LA Chargers, I mean, I love football. I love it so much. I will still root for the Chargers. But then I feel like they're an expansion team all of a sudden.
Yeah. I understand that.
I mean, you're moving to... I mean, I guess I'm rooting for the organization. Even though I hate the ownership. They're just... They're like multi-millionaires, I think. I mean, obviously. But they just want to be billionaires. Like, that's... They're openly antagonistic to fans and the city. It's tough. It's a tough year. Tough year. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive.
Oh,
it's just tough being a Charger fan.
Yeah. It's disappointing, right?
Yeah, my roommate today asked, when was the last time the Chargers were good? And I said 2007. So think about that for a minute.
It wasn't 2007, was it? I guess that's the last time you guys had a really solid season, isn't
San Diego Chargers. I'm looking it up right now.
I was gonna say because they're the years where you guys beat us in the playoffs 2 years in a row.
2006, we went 14-2, first in the AFC. We were number 1 offense, number 1 defense. We lost to the Patriots, and you want to know why? Because New England drove to San Diego's 41-yard line, and on a 4th down conversion, we were up.
Yeah.
We were up 21-13. On a 4th down conversion attempt, Brady's pass was intercepted by Marlon McCree. All right, let me stop right there. What do you do on 4th down? Unless you have an open shot you throw an out route, right, and it's you and the pylon. Like, the pylon has to tackle you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You bat the ball down on 4th down. But the man wanted to be a hero. He's like, I want to be a Sports Center top 10. So he intercepts the ball on 4th down. But guess what? Troy Brown, you remember that guy who used to play wide receiver and corner? That's how badly they were beat up that year.
Yeah.
Troy Brown stripped the ball. And then the receiver, Rashae Caldwell, who was an ex-Charger the year before, recovered it. And then we ended up losing.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't think I saw that game, but I remember that.
Oh, my God. We were 14-2. We were 14-2. I think, was that the year that... Yeah, this was the same year that LaDainian Tomlinson scored 31 touchdowns.
Oh, wow, yeah. That was a ridiculous...
Let's just talk about that for a second.
That's a ridiculous feat.
28 rushing touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns.
I'm surprised it's only 3.
Yeah, because he was one of the best running backs to catch the ball out the back. But this is a man who consistently scored 3 to 4 touchdowns a game. Think about that in fantasy terms. Just think about that for a second. That's unreal.
Killing it. You'd be killing it that year.
Shut the whole thing down. Shut the whole thing down.
Yeah.
So that was the last time we were really, really good. Like a premier, like when you guys used to go 14-2.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys would also lose in the playoffs, so you and I know that very well.
Right. You guys beat us a couple of times. The Patriots beat us every single time, except for the year that we won the Super Bowl. The other year that we made it to the Super Bowl when we lost to the Saints was the year that Brady was injured and Matt Castle was quarterback, and they didn't make it to the playoffs, even though they were 11-5.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's how strong of a roster that they had.
Yeah,
that's also the crazy thing about great teams: depth. When Bill Belichick says "next man up, do your job," it's crazy because people respect him and buy into his system because he's proven time and time again that if you listen to what I have to say, you do exactly what I tell you to do, you will be successful.
Yeah.
He makes sure that the players that he brings in, he accentuates their strong suits. He doesn't make them do things that they're not good at, and he just sort of like limits their sphere of influence so they don't feel like they have to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
And like, say what you will, but it's like you hate Bill Belichick because he's not your coach.
Exactly.
Like, what would happen if Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were on your team?
You got it. You'd be the biggest fan in the world, man.
Yeah.
Like two people that place are like Bill Belichick knows the game so well, and Tom Brady plays so consistent. Like he what was it, 2 years ago when he had nothing but garbage receivers and he was still able to get wins. I mean, you see the same thing with like Peyton Manning and even Andrew Luck to some degree, where they're able to take no-name receivers at what would be no-name receivers on any other team and make them shine. But it's just amazing what he's been doing for the last 13 years he's been in the NFL.
It's unreal. It's unreal, and that's just a testament to their ability.
Yeah.
It really is. It's not something that's easily repeatable. And, I mean, it's just born out of jealousy. It really is. That's the only reason why we hate them. Because they are so consistently successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, speaking of disappointment, I wanted to bring up something that happened at work.
All right. Let's hear it.
Sorry, I just took a breath. So at work, I work with a lot of really smart people, and we build sort of mobile products. And we got some news that one of the products that we were working on was no longer going to move forward. And that was a pretty big blow, because you sort of go in day out, and you're tasked with solving all these problems, and you get really deep into it.
It was your baby.
It is. And for me, it's tough because I have to give it my all whenever I go in. Because if I don't fully invest myself, then you're not going to get good work out of me.
Yeah.
So then we heard that this week, and it's just tough because it's a family.
Yeah.
On when you work on a product together like that, late nights, weekends, you become a family.
Yeah.
And just other people who are in charge make these decisions, and I had a really tough time this week with that decision. I was visibly upset. I was vocally upset. And normally I'm not like that.
Yeah.
Normally I do a really good job of not playing politics, but just understanding and letting that sort of dominate how I proceed. Like, I know why it didn't move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not stupid. I know where the business is this year. I know why decisions get made the way they do.
Right.
And normally I can rely on that logic to say, okay, it's fine. But I guess I just invest so much of myself into it that when it gets suspended or even sort of canceled, it just rips it apart out of you, man.
I can completely understand that, man. Like, I mean, it doesn't, like, you can understand it no matter, you can completely understand it, but you can still completely be, like, you have every right to be disappointed considering how much time and effort that you've put into that project over the last, like, year or so. It's just, yeah, it's almost like everything you put in is just kind of like going to be abandoned. That's definitely disappointing.
It's not. It wasn't easy. Uh, and my question is, and maybe you can help me, is how do I handle this disappointment in a healthier way next time? Because I was definitely one of the most vocal people. And what's tough is the group was split this past week. So a majority of my office was out.
Hmm.
Like, I want to say like 95% of the office was on the West Coast this week.
Oh, wow.
And for some reason, I wasn't part of that group that traveled out west. So when we got the news, I heard one of my team members called me and gave me the news over the phone the day before. And had that person not called me, I would have heard about it through like a Skype video call.
Yeah.
And what sucks is, so a lot of things compounded how I felt. Somebody that I knew, their dad passed away recently, and that was really tough, and that sort of grounded me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be like, this is not that I want to say it sort of facetiously, but this is not real. This is not real disappointment. Not to say that a passing of a father is real, is like, disappointment, because I know there's no words to describe what that kid is going through right now.
Yeah.
But just sort of grounding in like, hey, get your shit together. Other people are dealing with much worse things than you are. That was one part of it. A second part of it, so that sort of alleviated things a little bit, just to be like, I can't care about this right now.
Right.
Another thing is God bless them, I love my team members, but we were given a 30-minute meeting, right, to break the news to the entire group that worked on this project, because we got people like working all over the U.S. on this, and not everyone's privy to the information. So when we call like an all hands meeting, that just means like everyone on the project has to be in this meeting. Not everyone knows what's about to go down. I definitely knew going in, but they were late 15 minutes. It's a 30-minute meeting, Reza.
Yeah.
And you're late 15 minutes. Do you know what you're about to say?
Right.
At least have the courtesy to come on time. And these are my friends, and I love these people. But that does not excuse the faux pas in my eyes. It's a 30-minute meeting. You're gonna tell me that this project is canceled. At least have the decency to show up on time. And then you're 15 minutes late, and then you start off the meeting just laughing on your
Really?
side about whatever. Now, obviously, I can't tell you the context because I'm not on the West Coast. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what happened when you walked in. But when you turn on your camera and you see 5 other sort of cameras of people just stone faced, knowing
Right.
what's about to come down or totally unaware of what's about to come down, and then you see them laughing, and then you break the news,
Right.
how am I supposed to take that?
uh, not. I want to say not well. That's the only thing I can think of.
They were
I
they
don't
were
know how.
laughing in the beginning. They were lollygagging, and I literally said, "Who's running this meeting?" And it got their attention. There are there's there's only 5 people in New York on this call, and majority on the West Coast. But there's like 2 dozen plus people on this call that are
Yeah.
waiting to hear how this decision will ultimately affect their future.
Right.
Because for some people, it's their employment. Because we work with a lot of contractors. And I'm sorry that you are young leadership. I said it once, I said it again. I love you guys. You guys are some of my really close friends. We've developed really strong relationships at work. But if you're a director, your job extends more than just doing work at that point. You have
Mm-hmm.
become a people leader. And that was a really disappointing showing of how you guys are people leaders. Just because you've been promoted to a director doesn't mean that you have to give up work, right? It means you have to now take on more responsibility. Because before, you didn't have to worry about other people's careers.
Yeah.
But now you do. Now you have to have the foresight to know, what do I give up to my underlings to work on, and what are the bigger picture things that I have to be responsible for, and not sort of sweat the nitty gritty and micromanage things and then drop the ball on these huge things. Because I lose a lot of trust in my leadership that way. If you're going to consistently show that you can't handle these tough conversations, see, that's one of the things that I I definitely learned from my time in advertising. How to have hard conversations. Because for me back then, I would have to tell clients it's going to cost more money than we originally planned on it being. That's not a conversation you want to have.
Yeah.
Or what about, we're not going to be able to get it to you on time. It's going to be a week late. Like, I'm not the one that's going to run away from that phone call.
Yeah.
Was it tough the first time? Yes. Was it tough the 100th time? Yes. But at least I have I can sit here and say, I respect this, and I'm going to tell it to you straight. I'm going to look you in the eye, because what I have found personally is that people trust you when you can look them in the eye and tell them good news and bad news. You know, like you're not hiding anything that way.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a really heavy week, and those two things combined sort of led to me not being a good person to be around all week, and I apologize for that, because that was unprofessional of me, and I should have had the fortitude to maintain my professionalism at work. I wasn't like throwing stuff. I wasn't cursing out loud. None of that nonsense. But just being visibly upset all week was definitely a toxic thing to do.
Yeah.
So I'm learning. And I'm looking to you potentially, Reza, to see if you have any advice on handling something like this.
It seems like, so I haven't had any like major disappointment like that in my in my career quite yet, although I'm quite certain that I will at more than once. um it's so hard to like even really plan for, like when something just kind of bombards you, just hits you like that. It's almost like like you don't necessarily see it coming, so it's almost like it's blindsiding you. and anger is very much going to be like your natural reaction. And the way that I typically try to deal with anger, when I'm angry and I'm not, in my own private environment, is I just try to stay quiet. And it's obvious that you're upset, but I just don't want to say anything that I just don't want anybody to hear me say anything that makes them see me in a negative light. So I already know that they're gonna see me negative. Like I don't know how negative they'll or what they'll really think of me when they see me, that I'm clearly mad because I'm not speaking. But I would just rather not make anything worse by speaking about it, or just saying what's on my mind, or just anything like that. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Like it's just anger is so powerful, and it just moves to the front immediately. And at that point you really like lose all your inhibition. You don't care for like you know um, it's like as soon as you hear something, you don't care about the consequences. All you want to say it, and you want it out there, and you have to be so careful. And that's usually why I just don't say anything, because I can't think of anything positive, or the right thing that I really should say, the professional thing to say.
Yeah, it can be tough because being quick to anger just leads to bad decisions.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm not out here trying to make bad decisions.
right. Like one screw up can really send you down. It can set you back significantly. Um, Sounds like the last thing you really want to do. It's like how do you even think positively after the fact? It's so hard, and it's like, you know, people always try to look for like they try to say it's like a blessing in disguise, and I'm not really good at doing that. It's like you know what, I'm gonna be disappointed no matter what, and there's nothing that you can really do to change that. But
Yeah,
just kind of
that's definitely something. I don't mean to cut you off, but that's definitely something that happened a lot, and it's definitely a culture at where I work.
mhm,
Somebody will give bad news, and they'll say, "But you know what, guys? This is actually a good thing, and let me tell you why." And that's something that will make me quite angry because I will say, let's cut that out for a second. Don't come here and tell me in the same breath your baby's canceled, but this is a good thing.
right.
That I don't do well with that.
Like there's nothing really good about him. You really want to just like lay the facts down, and let the team cope the way they can. I agree with you. It's almost like patronizing, like say, oh, this is a good thing. Like, no, it's not a good thing. Like, it might be a good thing for the company if that's what you really mean, but this is not a good thing for me professionally.
Right.
Like the project that I'm working on is scrapped. Like, there's what more, what how does where do I go from that? In terms of my what do I put on my resume? Like, what do I say I was working on for the last however long? Um, but there are things, I guess, there are considerations that you can make yourself when it comes to that. It's like, well, that's an obligation that you no longer have, and whether you can go in a different direction that you otherwise couldn't have while you were on that project, is that option might be available.
Right. The and to me this contrasts a little bit with there's this approach in design that one of my mentors taught me. He said you have to know when to kill your darlings. And what he means by that is you'll come up with a design or you'll make a design decision of some kind, right? And to you, this is it. This is the killer app. This is the killer feature or the killer design reason that'll make this thing just explode off the screen.
Right.
But when you present it to the entire group, nobody gets it, or people don't think it's a good idea. And you should be able to defend your idea. But at a certain point, if nobody else understands it, it's probably not the best idea.
Mhm.
And so at that moment, you have to let your darlings, like, know when to kill your darlings. Sort of know when to hold and know when to fold, right?
Right.
It's tough, though, because that's one of the first things that came to my mind goes, know when to kill your darlings. But this is the whole thing going up in smoke. And it wasn't because it was a bad idea. It was because of outside influences and outside market forces. Sort of, the standard effects of being a major corporation in this world. You're just going to have to deal with stuff like that. And I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. It just doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Just time. That's the only thing that really makes things better. It's just time.
Yeah.
And things always do, or, I like to think that things always do get better, with given enough time. So.
Sure. No, you're absolutely right. So this week, it's a new week, positive energy. I'm going to give it my best. I'm just going to be the best designer that I can be.
Yeah.
That's all I can do. That's all I can have control over. And I apologize that it took this long to figure that out. I just need to be better. And it's definitely a growing moment. And that's all I have to say about that.
I feel you. That sounds good to me.
Can we pivot real quick?
Sure. What do you got?
I beat Uncharted 2.
Jesus, man.
I started the game on Friday.
Uh-huh.
And I beat it last night. It was crazy.
Are they that quick? It's just
It was a 10-hour game.
I didn't realize they were that short. I mean, that seems really short to me.
Yeah, I'm also really good.
I mean, 10 hours isn't. It's not.
There were
terrible.
there were 26 chapters.
26. Wow. So each chapter's half an hour or so.
Yeah, and it was really deep, and there's a lot of puzzles, and it's not an easy game because I played it on crushing difficulty, the hardest difficulty. There's Explore, which is you sneeze on an enemy and they die, but you don't none of your stats get saved. That's literally what Explore. And then there's Easy, Medium, Hard, Crushing, and Brutal. What sucks is Brutal is only unlocked after you beat it on Crushing, which is I've never liked that feature. You know me. You give me Brutal, I'm playing it on Brutal.
Yeah.
Uncharted 2 looked amazing. The platform aspects are still a little wonky, I won't lie to you. Maybe just because I am just not as accurate as I should be. But I am almost done. So I platinumed Uncharted 1.
Okay.
I found all the
trophies. What is platinuming? All the trophies?
All the trophies.
Wow, okay.
So I found all the treasures. I did the find 50 treasures type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I found all 50. I did the speed runs for 3 of the levels. I killed everyone with every type of weapon. I did everything the game asked me to do, and I got a platinum trophy for it. Okay. I am almost done platinuming Uncharted 2. I literally only have 4 more things, and 3 of them are just time trial based things. I might even only have those 3 things left because there was 103 treasures in this game, and I found 66 of them on my first playthrough.
Wow.
And then I just had to replay the game again. And what's nice is you can play them chapter by chapter. And then each chapter tells you, you found, 1 of 3 or 6 of 10. Right. So I had to replay them that way, and I got a lot of it done. It was a beautiful game, for sure. I mean, those graphics, even I know it's, been remastered a little bit, but I can totally understand why when you first see that game, you're like, oh my god, the PS3 is so powerful.
Yeah.
And it was a really well-written game. And I just love Nathan Drake as a character. I told you this week, I almost bought Last of Us because it was on sale for $19.99 or $15.99. But it turns out that there's better deals. It can go as low as $9.99.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which, if that's the case, I will buy it at $9.99 because it's another Naughty Dog game. And I heard that the sound design in that game is even better than Uncharted. Really? Because in Uncharted 1, there's in Until Dawn, those Wendigos?
Yes.
So they have something similar like that in Uncharted 1. Spoiler alert for a game that's over 12 years old.
Is it really that old?
All right, maybe not 12. Maybe not 12. Let me see. Uncharted 1. It came out 2007, so 8 years ago.
Wow. 8
years ago. There's a scene where you're in a Nazi base, this old, burned out Nazi base. And then it's when you walk down those dark hallways and it's damp and the lights are flickering. So I'm
Yeah,
wearing
yeah,
surround sound headphones, and all of a sudden, when you hear them coming, it's like that wet slapping noise when they're like running down the hallway, but you can't see where they are because it's a maze in a sense. And all
yeah,
of a sudden, they just turn the corner. They're running along the walls. They're running on the roof. And I'm playing this at 2 in the morning. It's terrifying because it's not just like 2 shots to the head, they go down. It's
right,
like you got
right.
to pump a few shots into them. And so so that was Uncharted 1. And it was incredibly terrifying because then like, all right, so that was a hallway sequence, but then you're in like these rooms and they just come pouring out of the vents and you basically just like run around in circles and pray to God you don't get killed. In The Last of Us, they have these things called clickers, right?
Yeah, I
So
remember
like the
those.
zombies, they make this like really distinct clicking noise. And there's a scene, they said, everyone who's ever played the game said there's one scene where you fall into a basement, it's dark as hell, and all you hear is just these clicking noises everywhere, and you probably only have 3 bullets. And it's just the most tense. Like, can you imagine playing that with like surround sound headphones? That's why they have adult diapers.
I don't
Because,
think that's why. I don't. I'm not
because
sure if that's why, maybe,
sometimes,
but
Reza, when you turn the corner and there's a jump scare, you just got to release. You just can't clench anymore. You clench too hard.
I hope. I hope you. I hope not. That's all I got.
That's
I
why
hope
the
not.
computer chair in the living room is my chair because you don't want to sit. You don't want to sit in that.
Good. Good. Very. Very good to know.
It. Oh God.
Oh goodness.
So what are you playing right now?
So I actually moved back to Destiny. You know this. But that's kind of been it. I got the Taken King down DLC. Which I've been liking a lot. The new raid is really is awesome. I like the teamwork that's required in this raid, and it's very much unlike the Dark Below DLC, Crota's End. That raid you can solo. I would solo that one all the time. And unlike the first raid, Volta Class, you could not really solo that. Most of these segments of that entire raid were just not soloable, but you can do the entire second raid by yourself.
Okay.
This third raid, you basically need 6 people. Like it's very hard to get by with any fewer than 6. Um, and I've really been enjoying it, and I haven't actually gone back to Metal Gear, but I'm okay with that for now. The thing is, tomorrow, no, not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, Halo 5 comes out. And I think a week after that, Fallout 4 comes out.
Oh my God. Wait, Fallout 4, Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yes, and Rise of the Tomb Raider. So Rise of the Tomb Raider is going to be a game for you, and Fallout 4 will be a game for me. Now, Fallout 4 that's well over 100-hour game. That's a huge commitment. That's the same with Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Um, but the thing is with like Destiny and Halo are that both these games, despite the fact that I've done all these story elements, and I've done most things. There's a high replayability aspect when it comes to that. With Destiny, it's getting the better loot and leveling up your character for no real reason other than just wanting to accomplish that. And it's still a fun game to just go.
I saw a GIF of how the Guardians looked from release day,
Uh-huh.
and it was like the max, like light and all that stuff, but just like how intricate your guys' armor and all that stuff is now is incredible.
Yeah, and now, yeah, there's. I really liked how they did the customizing options when it's come to this, where you can take raid gear and other exotic gear and you can what they call infuse, so you can increase the power of lower level gear to bring it up to the highest possible light level. The problem is that there's still high random elements when it comes to getting that gear. They just released the hard mode of the raid on Friday, which I haven't attempted yet. So the highest level without the raid is 300. The highest level with the raid is 310, the normal raid. The highest level with the hard raid is 320. Exotics could go to 310, so you can find exotics around. These are just like very rare gear. You can find those around, but you cannot get anything higher than 320 or anything higher than 310 unless you play the hard mode raid. And it's sorry the gear that drops is between in hard mode is between 310 and 320, and the drops are also randomized. So it's not as rare, I think, as it was in the Vault of Glass, but it's still rare to get drops or hard to get drops. And there's no guarantee that it's going to be 320. It drops between 310 and 320. So it's like, I don't know. It's like a 10% chance just to get the roll that you want, the number that you want. But then there's some percent chance that you don't even get the item at all. So it's just very low odds, and that's the thing that I don't like.
Yeah, that's what drove me away.
Yeah, I know. The nice thing is that because it's incremented like that, the way that we have the increments with the light level, there's not a huge difference between, say, like a 317 and a 320. So there's no, like, you shouldn't be devastated by not getting that. And at the same point, on the same, the along with that, it's very similar between, like I'm content being where I am right now. Like if I'm like a 304 or something like that, and I'm okay with that. Like I do want to get higher gear, but I can still do just about everything. So that's fine. Although I haven't tried hard mode, I'm not in a rush to do that either.
Yeah. Besides what you're playing, what are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you reading?
Oh man, so I've been watching The Office with Lena, and that's about all I've been watching. So she's been watching most of it on her own. I stopped watching at like season 5 or 6 on my own like several years ago, and I think she's seen most of it, but she's rewatching it all from the start. And so I just jump in with her every now and then when we hang out, and that's it. I
Okay.
haven't started The Walking Dead yet, and the reason is because the first episode is so long. I actually watched the first like 2 minutes, and it was like 75 minutes of show, and I just didn't want to commit that much time to it. So I was like, you know what?
I get it.
I'm not gonna. Yeah. I have been keeping up with Last Man on Earth, so there's that.
That's a fun show though.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
digestible for sure.
Yeah. And then I guess that's it. I mean, I haven't. I've been listening to some like some Metallica. So there's something new. That's
Really?
something I never really listened to before. Yeah. Well, like my old college roommate, he was a very very gifted guitarist. He played the electric guitar. He ended up transferring to Berkeley School of Music. He's since graduated from there. But he was into a lot of shredders. So he listened to um, and it wasn't just shredders like guitarists, but he would listen to some really really good, like really skilled guitarists. So like Joe Satriani and John Petrucci. He would listen to bands like Dream Theater, and then from that there were other friends that I had that listened to other bands like Metallica, and so from them I kind of got into it at some point, and now I'm finally like going back now that I have Spotify and just listening to some of their albums.
I am listening to. Let's see. So I still have this like playlists that I created on Spotify that I sort of
Yeah,
like started every day with.
yeah,
Let's see. Where is it? Jesus, why is this so far down? Oh, it's the first one. Sorry. Um, I start with 100 featuring The Game and Drake.
oh yeah,
I do, and then it goes into Post Malone's White Iverson, Fetty Wap's Again, and then Rick Ross, Aston Martin Music, ASAP Rocky's Fucking Problems. That song gets me turned. I won't lie to you.
it's been a minute since I've heard that one. I
Yeah,
think.
that I've been listening to that ASAP Rocky album.
Oh, that one, not the new one.
Not the new one, Long Live ASAP.
I
Not
don't. I've
the
never listened to
not
Long
at
Live
Long
ASAP.
Last ASAP, but Long Live ASAP is dope. I'm a big fan of that. And then The Weeknd's Acquainted, and then do Kendrick Lamar's The Recipe, which is my favorite song on Good
Yeah.
Kid, Mad City. But I also listen about like the Black Hippie remix to it,
Mm-hmm.
and then do Hotline Bling because let's be honest. And then I do Sorry by Rick Ross again. So I just realized that I'm pretty much into Drake, ASAP, and Rick Ross. So I got to just switch it up. But I decided that, you know what, I'm listening to these songs the most, so I'll just pop it up to the beginning of the playlist, and
Yeah.
then we hit Bobby Shmurda again. It's like, okay, so this is, we back, because like from Bobby Shmurda on, it's just like all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But what am I watching? I'm watching Strike Force, actually. It's a Cinemax show. It's an
Uh-huh.
hour long. It's super bloody. It's super sexual. It's about this like counter-terrorist unit that just goes after all these different types of people,
I
and
see.
there's an overarching villain they're trying to get to, and it's really good. Like if somebody gets shot in the head, you see the hole in the head, and you see the
Oh,
like blood like leak out the head. Like it's really crazy.
wow.
People are getting killed left and right. There's boobs. Um, there's a lot of people that ended up being on the Game of Thrones that are on this show, which is really
Oh, okay.
cool. So I like how quote unquote realistic it is. You know, like when some like if it's an ABC show and you get shot in the head, there's no blood.
Hmm.
Like you took a shotgun to the chest, there's no blood. In this, you take a shotgun to the chest, you're gonna see giblets. So I'm like 6 episodes in. It's just a fun show. I don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead. I'm gonna start up in about 15 minutes. And that's it.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah. You got anything else for this week?
Nah, I'm about to finish up this presentation that I have going, and then that's about it for the night for me.
All right, cool, man. Well, I'll let you go, and then we'll talk in a little bit.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right. Well, I'm Sandy.
I'm Reza.
Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you guys next week.